They tune bikes. They've tuned Hurlin's old bikes when he was on an 85 and Ken Roxton's bikes. And so he tuned my 65. And the stock one, like, it wasn't slow, but it wasn't as fast. Yeah. So when I went on the tuned one, it was just so fast.
Hej allihopa och varmt välkomna till det allra första avsnittet med Motorsportpodden. I det här avsnittet ska vi få höra vad Freddie Bartlett, som är 11 år, har att säga om hur det är att vara en crossåkare som tävlar i EM. Men vi hör inte bara hans historia, vi ska faktiskt få höra vad hela familjen har att säga. Hur det är att vara en mamma som står vid sidan av. Hur det är att vara en pappa som mekar med crossen. Hur hela familjen kör land och rike runt. Den som ser till att allt det här blir möjligt, det är Kristoffer Seglund. Han är personen bakom kameran som ser till att ljudet spelas upp. Jag, som heter Dan Shadow, är den som ställer frågorna till våra gäster. Otroligt varmt välkomna. Jag hoppas att ni får en trevlig stund och njut av en härlig lyssning här.
The Brits are very helpful, you know. They really want to help you, and especially when Freddie was, even when you were on the auto, and we had a engine go, didn't we, or something? And one of our first sponsors was Dave Wright, so I had to drive like 4 hours to go, but he actually, welded all the crankcases and everything, and then I drove all the way up, picked up all the way home, and then I drove again, and we went to the competition, didn't we? So there's always the people there who are going to help you. So, yet again, coming to Sweden, it's been very difficult because we have no contacts, especially being English. People are quite standoffish, you know. They don't want to let you in.
What kind of foreign
so, you don't blame them, you know. So it's been very difficult, you know.
I remember the first time I met you.
Yeah.
It's, the indoor,
MX Arena.
Yeah. I just, I saw you, Freddie riding.
Yeah.
I've never seen a kid before, actually. And,
how old were you then? You must have been...
It was 2017,
17,
I think. Yeah.
I was
8.
You had a KTM 65.
Yeah. That's right.
I think it was first year on 65.
Yeah, first year. Yeah, we just got one. Yeah.
And and I met you also.
Yeah.
Laid back.
Yeah.
Father, you know.
Chatty.
No, we were sat in...
Very easy going, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were sat in the little coffee room there. That's right, yeah. I remember, and and it was quite strange. You actually wanted to talk to me because a lot of Swedes are very nervous, you know. And I was like, hang on a minute.
I often go to talk to people, you know. I don't know if they want to, but just forcing in, you know.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
And it was like, this guy's. I
remember talking back, I don't know why, but. So Freddie, I've seen a Yamaha PW 50 broken in two. Can you tell me about it?
that was at a private track in Cornwall, and there was like a ski jump.
What's a ski jump?
It's like
a jump with no landing.
Yeah.
So you just flat land it.
Yeah, and I jumped off that on the Pee-wee. Maybe hit it too fast.
Maybe. At 4 years old, you know, just 4.
Yeah, and then I landed, and it was like it felt longer.
I remember it. He come down over this jump, and on this landing of a tabletop, and I'm looking at the bike, thinking something doesn't look quite right. But then he stopped by the side of me, so I was looking down, and I didn't really think about it again, you know. And then he's like, Dad, can I get some more laps in? Yeah, okay, go on then. And as he pulled away, the forks just fell off, like this. And he just looked at me and went, okay. I think we need a new one. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it your first bike?
That was the first bike, and funnily enough, that bike actually come from Sweden. I did a job for somebody, and it was they had this 1980 Pee-wee, it was, and I said, can I buy that? Yeah. So we bought that as a first bike, 1980. We didn't even know you were going to ride or anything, but somehow it ended up in the van back to England, you know. And that was your first bike you rode when you were 3.5.
And now it's in pieces down in
I
the
still, yeah.
cellar.
And it's actually, yeah, so it's moved, it's gone from Sweden to Cornwall to Somerset and back to Sweden, but in a box.
In a box.
And I was going to chuck it, you know, and then I thought, maybe one day, you know, I can rebuild it. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe that's a winter project, you know, to rebuild it. But I'd like to use all the original, really old bits, you know, that'd be cool.
Is Belle riding also?
No, she...
A little bit on a quad.
She's got a quad bike, a little quad bike. She likes that. She's not too keen on trying. She's been like sitting on a few and that, but she likes to put her motocross clothes on and her helmet and stuff, but
that's good. That's enough.
Yeah, that's like, okay, I'm here now.
I look good.
Got my gear.
She likes to sit on your lap.
Fit in, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we got that video the other day of you going around and she sits on his lap and loves it. Yeah. And she loves that. I'm like, go on, Belle, you can have a little play on the quad on your own, and she's just at that age. Not yet, you know, not yet.
Yeah.
Just being careful.
Yeah. But Freddie did, his first competition on a big track when he was her age.
5.5, yeah. That was down Red Roof in Cornwall, wasn't it?
Yeah. Feels weird.
Yeah.
She's
I got the same at home. I mean, I got
the
youngest kid was four.
Yeah.
And Oliver was riding at the same age. You know.
Yeah.
And doing his first competition in enduro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, she likes her quad bike and she likes to sit on Freddie's bike when he's riding around.
Can't force them to anything, right?
No, and that's the thing, we never forced Freddie either, you know. It was always him, wasn't it? Always you saying, come on, Dad, can't we go and riding? And it was we've never forced him to ride.
How is it to ride? And what do you think about when you're riding, or how does it feel when you're riding?
It's fun when you hit the jumps and get it perfect, like get the corners perfect. Yeah, it's fun jumping.
I've never jumped with a bike, so how does it feel to jump when you're made up in the air? You know?
It's a bit of a thrill when you're up there. And
does it last for a long time up in the air?
Sometimes.
Now it does on the 85. Well, it looks like he's up in the air for a long time to me.
Do you never get scared?
No.
And he's always like, yeah, Dad, I'm going to try and do this triple or this tabletop. And I'm like, have you really got to? You don't have to, mate. It's only practice, you know. Yeah, just take it easy. But it's up to him, you know. Again, I've never said you've got to go out and do this jump. If he feels comfortable, you do it.
I did that mistake once. Pushed my son and said, you're going to be the best when you go back again.
Yeah.
And then he started crying and I realized that I can't push him.
No. They will do it when they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's it. Just leave them to it.
If you say something and they don't want to do it, but they do it anyway, and something happens, then that's on you. Yeah. You know, it's not a good feeling.
For example, down the MX Drift, Berkeley, there's a big tabletop. You know, I mean, you paced it out 34 meters, wasn't it? But
no, 40 almost.
Was it? Oh, with the landing,
yeah.
But it comes up at the end, you know.
And
he's done it.
You do?
But then I said, so yeah, he's done it. And it's like, I've seen him land, and there's a few other 85s that have done it. But
did you do it on the 65 also?
No.
Or you need the power from the 85?
Yeah. And I just say to him, listen, this is only practicing, you know?
You don't have to.
And this is it's a long career, so just take it easy.
There's only 14, 15-year-olds that's done it.
Yeah. And last weekend he's like, yeah, but I can do it, Dad. I can do it. No, you're not. So I won't let him do it.
No.
Can you do it anyway?
Yeah, he's done it. Yeah, he's done it. But I don't want him to do it. So.
Are you the next rider? So?
Yes. I've done my. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt, you know.
And you started because of your dad, right?
How did I start?
I've seen you posted something like Grandpa Fred.
Yeah.
Was it the
that
old
was
man?
My dad. Yeah, the old man.
Who was he?
Well,
he seemed like
a bit of a legend.
Like a character.
Yeah. Everybody knew him, you know. So we grew up in a small town called Shepton Mallet in Somerset, and he used to do a lot of green laning. So he had old Land Rovers, you know, and he used to do a lot of conversion kits, put V8 engines in them and that. And it all started off, he used to go green laning, and we bought, I had a lot of mountain bikes, but he bought me a TY80, an old Charles bike. So he used to say to me, okay, I'll go green laning, and you can follow me behind. So that's what I used to do, just follow him in the green lanes. But then, one weekend, a track called Peel, just by Evercreech, he said, we must... we're going to have a look at this, you know. Going to have a look at this motocross. It's up at, you know, everybody knew it was a local motocross event. So we went out there, and that was it. I said, he said, do you want to go at this? I said, yeah, okay. This is back in 1989, I think. So that's how it all started. And then we walked around the pits, and there was a YZ80 for sale. A real motocross bike, you know. £600 it was, 1 year old. And Dad said, do you want that? I said, yeah, okay. And that was it. I started riding. And obviously I started on the 80s, as it was then, not the 85s. And I ended up actually quite good. I think I had a few in the schoolboys, I was sort of around the top 10 all the time in the British schoolboys, you know. Then I went on to, did a few British Championship under 21s and a few local big meetings. We had a championship called the Remedies Bar, which I used to do on 252 stroke. Yeah, it was good fun.
Sometimes you call the race the moto.
What's it?
You say just the moto? No?
No.
You call a race? No?
Yeah, moto. Yeah.
That's like one race.
One race is a moto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Moto 1,
Moto 1, Moto 2. But yeah, and then I kept riding up until really... Well, I gave up in 2003 because my dad got ill and sadly died. So when he was 49. So yeah, I kind of give up then. But then obviously we moved to Sweden and blah blah blah. And then I ended up him starting, and I was still riding, wasn't I, a little bit. I used to ride here in Sweden. And then I actually got quite fast when I moved back to England. And then Freddie started getting really fast, and I'm like, time for me to give up. Okay.
My time, it's done.
And it was costing so much money for both of us, so I was like, right, okay, sell the bike, that's it, your turn now, Freddie. And people always ask me, do you want to ride? Yeah, I'd love to ride, but I can't risk hurting myself, and I haven't got the money, so.
You were self-employed.
Self-employed.
And you crashed and you smashed your heel bone to pieces, and you had
Can't
to
afford
be
it.
off.
No.
No.
Yeah. I talked to a guy yesterday, actually, a rider. He was a rider. And he said that when he looks back now, it doesn't make sense, you know, to put all that time, you know, just riding go with the car, you know, for the van for like 2 hours to a track.
No.
Spending half a day there and then 2 hours at home and then maintenance at home.
Yeah.
But it does at the time.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and it's pretty, how do you say?
The problem is, in motorsport is like a drug.
Yeah, he said the same thing.
It is.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
like you,
addictive, you know.
I'm not being funny. What was it? 2 years ago? We were practicing at Langham, and a guy said to me, do you want to go on this 450? Okay.
For Freddie?
No, to me.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll have a go. And then you just get into that
mode,
that motocross zone. It's a weird,
nothing else,
it's a weird thing, you know. When you're riding a bike, it's like an escape. Yeah. And it's just you and your bike and a track.
Have you heard the song with Metallica, Nothing Else Matters?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's like, yeah. So then sometimes, you know, I used to find when you were riding and you're a little bit older, you're always like, okay, I go riding, but then you finish riding, you're like, oh shit, I got to work the next day, you know. But that's the way it is. You're in your concentration zone so much, and I'm pretty sure I still could be quite fast now, you know. But I wouldn't like to ride against him, not now.
No. So Freddie, after that broken Pee-wee 50, you're riding KTM, right? 50.
Have we got another Pee-wee?
We got another Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Did you break it as well, or
no?
No jumps.
No, we did a bit of we used to go to Wealdon Farm, didn't we? An indoor track, a bit like MX Arena. So he was on the Pee-wee and he was getting so fast, it was just
it's just
scaring
horrible
me.
The Pee-wees.
Yeah, so he had no suspension and it was becoming quite scary, you know, because he's trying to do these jumps on a Pee-wee at 4.5 years old, and I'm like, oh my god. I mean,
what have I done?
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, Freddie, okay. And you always try and look down the old school route, you know, of getting a peewee and uprating the suspension and doing this, but motocross has moved on so much.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to bite the bullet and get a KTM. So then you had the KTM, didn't you?
And then you did like a big race in France on the KTM, right?
Yeah.
That was
What kind of race
a couple
was it?
years after.
How old was you when you did that race?
7.
What is it called?
MX Master Kids.
It's like the unofficial European Championship for kids.
It's a world championship. Class is like a world. Yeah.
It's like
So you get American.
almost of MX of Nations for kids or something. Because there's like, or it's a world championship. Like they don't point score in countries or anything.
No.
But it's
See
just
more
like.
Yeah,
It's just like the Great Britain park with each other,
Yeah.
USA park with each other,
Right.
like yeah.
Were you there as an English
Yeah.
kid? Or?
Yeah, British, yeah. Because Sweden didn't have a team.
Okay.
We lived in England at the time as well, so we were competing for Britain.
How did you do in that race?
I won it.
Of course.
Yeah.
How was the competition? Except that you won.
Or like it was a race, and what was it? The 15th, 16th, 17th.
Yeah, so it was over 4
Yeah.
days, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it was 4 days, and like how many races was there per day?
I don't know, but it started at stupid o'clock in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning, you know? The kids are on the line.
And ended at like
Really early.
8.
Really
And
early.
ended at like 8.
Yeah, but
such
it was such
long
a
days.
cool event for the kids. Absolutely awesome.
It's very awesome to be as a parent standing next to the grid, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
See from the 50 or 65 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just small kids, but managing the bikes and
They absolutely-
the competition. It's just the focus that they have.
But the kids
Yeah.
are buzzing, you know? This is the awesome thing about motocross is to see all these kids from all these different countries, you know? Sort of six or some of them 5 years old. Because I think Totney was there and he's 5. He was really young.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
all these young
5
kids
to 7
wanting
was
to
nice.
be something,
Yeah.
you know? They got their national colours on, and it's
very
absolutely
Just to have
awesome
your
to see
own flag.
these kids. Yeah, to see these kids focused.
I
You
got
know?
my top in there from it.
Yeah, he's got
Yep.
his top. Yeah.
Yeah.
His Great Britain top. Yeah. So
That was good fun. We were there for almost a week, weren't we? And
Yeah.
Belle was 1.5 or 1 year.
Just
Yeah.
And we had our old camper, LT35,
Yeah.
an old Volkswagen. No water.
no water.
No air condition,
No air.
you know, like
Just basic.
like you have to have, you
Basic,
know,
very basic.
no
Oh,
toilet.
you've seen it?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So it was,
Like 4 seats and
Yeah.
the garage.
2 beds
Yeah.
and
More rust than paint.
a worktop. I found a showers on day 4. That was like,
Yeah,
I like
and it was
that.
like
That
35, 35 degrees, you know, so hot.
No, we mums kind of survived on cherry beer and and pushing pushchairs around.
Pushing
in the heat.
pushchairs around, yeah.
Yeah.
And me just being
It was
stressed.
okay.
And the thing about this event as well, you obviously had these like heat races on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but then
Yeah.
Sunday morning was the big final. So all you had was
gold final.
yeah. So you had
was
like
good.
you had a practice,
Yeah.
and then you just went to the line and raced. And all this pressure was just on that one race, you know.
Yeah.
The overall of the whole event was just one race. So if something went wrong, you know, with a bike or anything, that was it. And I remember, Freddie, you did it on a totally original bike, didn't you?
I was
stock bike.
First,
Wasn't it?
I was riding on a tuned one.
Yeah, the one I tuned with a
Yeah.
Dremel. Yeah.
And then like the second day, could have been. what
He
was it?
turns around to me and says, "Dad, I want to go and I just want to ride the new original one." And I'm like, "Okay." So I put the we had a
I
shop.
have made this one for you.
Yeah. He's okay. You do what you want. If you feel comfortable with this new one, do that. So you went out and wow.
Does it
You-
make a
you-
difference to tune a small bike like this?
Yeah.
Even
Well-
for the kids?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, you know, a lot of these people have got a hell of a lot of money to chuck
Yeah.
at them, you know.
You see that
But then
on the
again,
motorhomes,
yeah.
so-
But then again, they
Mm.
become a little bit unreliable, you know. But we always run pretty much stock, didn't we? Just polish. I was in there with a Dremel, you know. trying to get a few extra neddies out of it.
You're quite famous in England for
the Dremel.
Bartlett.
Used to call me Dremel Bartlett. Yeah.
But then again, you had some customers and they liked it.
Yeah.
Something
So-
right.
Yeah. So
took us to another race.
What's the biggest difference you've noticed on a bike?
What with like tuned and
Yeah,
everything.
the biggest tuning difference.
I mean, now we got R&R.
on the 65,
Yeah, on the 65 we had R&R.
What's R&R?
R&R is.
I can't even you being in motocross.
Yeah. Well,
you have to
It's,
explain for me.
They tune bikes. They've tuned Hurlin's old bikes when he was on an 85 and Ken Roxon's
Ooh.
bikes. So he tuned my 65, and the stock one, like it wasn't slow, but it wasn't as fast.
Yeah.
So when I went on the tuned one, it was just so fast.
And we had,
From the bottom or just top end or?
all the way.
Everything.
So we were prepped to go in the EMX, you know.
Yeah.
This year we had all the bikes, we had all the right back in, and Freddie's biggest goal was to get on the podium at the EMX, you know. So this is the first year we had all the right kit, the suspension, the engine,
The whole package. Right?
the whole package is there ready to go. Whereas, you know, the year before we were on a stock bike doing EMX, but we had absolutely everything, and then Corona kicked in,
A small virus.
and now
Worldwide.
the bikes have gone. So, but it doesn't.
The year before you were on a Cobra? 2 years
Cobra.
ago, right?
2 years ago, must have been, yeah.
Yeah.
So how was it riding the Cobra and how was the maintenance on the Cobra?
Awesome bike.
Yeah, it was a really good bike. It was fast.
Was there any difference to the KTM you had before?
Yeah, a little bit, but like I don't really know because the KTM we had done like 200 hours, and
So long.
and then we went on the Cobra, so that was a lot faster. Cause yeah,
Did you try any other marks of the Cobra? Before you went to Yamaha?
No, that was it. It's only we did KTM, we had the Cobra, and then that contract finished, and then we said okay. We went to our local shop.
Yeah.
The Yamaha was actually new out when it was the first year it come out. We said okay. I said to Kent in Lungnitz, can we try one? So he said, yep, I'll fix one, and we tried it, and that was it. And he loved the Yamaha, didn't you?
Is it easy to ride the Yamaha?
yeah.
I got the same bottom end of the engine as the 85, right? The 65 and 85 are sharing the same?
Not
No?
quite the same. They look very
Okay.
similar, but so cool. There is a few different things inside, so you can't bolt an 85 cylinder on the 65 bottom
Wait,
end.
it's a good base for the 65.
Yeah. So there is a few things that are different, but yeah, it's
How is the maintenance if you compare like KTM, Cobra and Yamaha?
Yamaha is very low maintenance.
It is.
I can honestly say the best bike. We can get so many hours. We had one of our Yamahas, the first one we had done 180 hours. And I can honestly say,
Did it change the crankshaft?
no, nothing. Totally, just kept going. I can honestly say that bike, it's still going now. So and
Yeah, it's good.
yeah, compared to the KTM of always breaking power valves when we were in the middle of Germany. we did a big race in Riel in the south of Germany, wasn't it? When we were actually moving back to Sweden, and Freddie was riding really well, and the power valve just snapped clean in half, didn't it? Oh,
I was in the lead.
he's in the lead as well.
Ooh. They are fast bikes actually, the KTM's, but
Yeah.
you
The reliability sometimes isn't. It's not as good as a Yamaha.
of course.
So,
What kind of poster do you have behind you, Freddie? The big
This
one, yeah.
is from the EMX in Slagelse, Denmark.
So EMX is the European Championship.
Yeah.
it was your second ever EMX race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Second one. You did Lommel and then you done that.
Yeah, and I went out there, and I think I went out behind Marak, and I went out and I had second fastest lap time in the EMX, and then I dropped down to like fifth or something.
but you actually got 5th overall at the AMX, didn't you? On a totally stock Yamaha.
On that one.
On that one.
It's Freddie's club in Denmark, Slagelse.
Okay.
It's the club that helped us when we didn't know what we were going to do with the racing. So they stepped in and helped us.
And that's
The Danish Federation.
2018 or 19? 19?
Last year.
The Danish Federation actually stepped in to help us because otherwise we would have been stuck in Sweden with a Guldhjälm license.
I have a question here further back, but you can take it now.
Yeah.
If I say Svemo,
Oh.
what would you say? If I say like this, how do you...
Have we got a bite my lip?
If I say, how is the European or English culture when you see kids, competing, compared to the Swedish culture and way of, you're not counting scores in football nowadays and so on. I don't know why, but
I have no clue.
I think that personally, I think the kids can learn a lot from racing or competing in whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I understand that there have been some issues.
Just a
With
few
racing.
little ones, yes. You could
And
say
that led to Denmark.
Denmark.
And
Without
the
Denmark,
Danish championship then.
without Denmark and the Danish Federation, we wouldn't be anywhere. Put it that way, because we were just being stopped left, right, and centre by Svemo,
Why are
the
you
Swedish Federation.
Well,
Are you too young or?
Well, so called.
we figured out 2 days before we moved from England to Sweden. We figured out I was booked to a friend, and he said, there's different rules for kids racing in Sweden.
Yeah.
We're like, okay. And he explained to us what's happening. He's
Just
like,
order
but
tickets.
surely you can
Yeah.
surely you can get by those, and there must be like some kind of way to work it out. But there wasn't. So and Freddie's dream has always been to race in Europe ever since he was little, and we wouldn't let a move stop that. So we had some talks back and forth with Svemo, and we realized that it wasn't happening. They took away the right for kids to
They moved it like 2-3 years ago. something
Yeah,
like that, right? They were
3
just
years ago now,
making
I think.
the age higher.
Yeah,
Just
going up and up and
basically
up.
when we got here, it changed.
You
My
couldn't
kid was,
believe
he
it.
was always 1 year behind, and even for the next year for him,
Yeah.
then they moved up for so he can't
Never
catch,
get there.
No, he
Never
can
get
there.
No. So the guy before Anton, he's got a 65 U license, which was an international license, but they took away 65 ungdom. So and that's because there's no more international licenses then. So you have to be, is it 12 or 13 to go
It's probably be
abroad now?
14 next year, I expect. Keep going up and up and up.
But what they've told us now is that Freddie will be able to race next year when he turns 12 on a Danish international on the normal club sort of level competitions in Sweden. So
And then he was 10 years at that time.
he was 9 and 10.
So you had to wait like 2 years for competing in the European Championship.
Yeah, but we moved to Denmark, so we got
Okay.
in there earlier. So Freddie was and Anton Isaksson were the only Swedes that were out in Europe racing last year.
Anton was the last, what do you say, the last one to go through the loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have
after him, that was the cut-off
That's
point,
it.
and now you're seeing no
Yeah.
65 riders Swedish anywhere,
Is there any downside for young kids competing at a high level like this, as it is? Because
I don't know. I can't say you have a downside. I say because I understand you must have rules, but
is it the question?
There's a
they're
question
afraid
that
of,
if they
the
want to-
parents pushing the kids, or
but of course you must have these rules. But at the end of the day, these kids who have a passion and they want to be something and they want to go somewhere, they're the ones who want to go to Europe.
find the competition.
So you could stay here and you're in a little bubble, go into your little tracks and doing your little competitions. But
That's it.
yeah, but if you want to be something, I don't see why they try and
They
stop
can't.
you.
Yeah. It should be free choice.
Yeah. It's up to you. It's your kids. their decision. So we took a big decision, you know, because
It was Freddie's decision.
Freddie's
What he
decision,
wanted to do.
totally. We said to him, "Do you want to stay in Sweden and win everything at Guldhjelm level?"
Yeah.
And he was straight away, "No, I want to go to Europe."
So if I ask Freddie, what is Guldhjelm?
Don't we? Well, it's like
Just a license.
Fun. It's like
Yeah.
it's a license, but like what would you say? Fun
I would say
competitions.
It's
but
a license for the young kids. Like,
yeah, up to 12,
Yeah.
up to 12, and then it
So you
goes
can have the
over.
insurance and everything. That's
Yeah.
and you're then allowed to
Yeah.
compete.
Mm.
Yeah.
They had 65 Guldhjelm and 65 U, which is U is the faster
Okay.
group.
Yeah.
Same as the 85 now. 85 Guldhjelm is the beginners, and they've taken this test that prove they can ride on the track.
Mm.
And then you have 85 U, which you move up to when you're a certain age and you come to a certain speed, perhaps, or it's more to do with an age thing.
Do you think it's possible to go as far as become like a world champion or competing in a world championship, but going through the Swedish system? Or is it too
I don't
late?
know. I think it's very risky because these kids need to be
You should be at the
in
top
among.
at 20.
They need to be.
around 20, right?
Yeah, they need to be in amongst it. You know, because you know, I'm not being funny. Freddie had been in Sweden on the Cobra, you know, racing, and then we obviously got the Yamaha thing, and then we were like, right, okay, we missed the first round of the EMX at Slovakia, and we said, okay, we're going to do Lommel, and you get to Lommel, and all of a sudden you've got 39 other Freddies on the start. You just haven't got one or two or three, you know. So
It's a next
the next
level
level
for the kids to
yeah.
to
So
follow.
my scare, what I'm scared of, I see so much talent in Sweden,
Yeah.
big talent, which could go somewhere.
And Sweden is
Yeah.
actually a motor history.
Yeah,
And
that's what I mean.
Formula 1 motorbikes.
Yeah, but
and
you
it's
almost
whatever,
have
you know.
more history
Yeah.
here. Like when you go to the motocross tracks, you see all the old pictures on. It's amazing to see it. But I often wondered what had happened. Well, going back to Lommel anyway. So we
Is
were
it
there.
Holland?
All of a sudden, yeah, you've got all these talented kids from all over Europe, you know. And what I'm scared of with these the Swedish kids is the fact that they have 20 on the line in these competitions, 20 on the start, you know, and even some of them even have a flag start. They're not allowed to go over the gate, you know, in some
Why?
of their competitions on the autos.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't know.
I think it's a new era of
Yeah.
Swedish being, how you say, PK in Swedish, politically correct.
Yeah. So
Everybody
what-
should be winning or nothing, nobody
Yeah,
loses.
yeah.
and
yeah.
so
So what's
Yeah.
gonna happen? What's gonna happen with these kids when they all of a sudden they get to 12 years old, where they can think a little bit more and are a bit more aware of what's going on?
on. Or
they're
maybe
gonna-
even
they're gonna
life
go-
when you get the challenge.
Yeah. So when
you
they're
don't
when
always
they're
win in life.
no, so when
Like,
they're going to
never.
go to these competitions and they've
Yeah.
been winning everything in Sweden, and then all of a sudden they're dropped in Europe and they're like, oh
2
my
years
god,
behind, yeah.
yeah, And
40
are
on
they
the
gonna-
line and
40 on the line, and are they going to get
scary.
beat? They're going to get scared.
Is
I
it,
think.
is it
There may be the odd one, of course, who's
Yeah.
going to come. You always got that one talent which is going to excel.
which one is it in MX? You have like road racing, you have MotoGP, you have Mark Marquez for now.
Yeah,
Which one is it in MX that is the big talent, you know?
Hurland.
Hurling's at
It
the
is.
moment. Yeah.
Geyser.
Geyser,
He's won
yeah.
every MXGP.
But my worry is with the kids is they're just gonna get beat up and then they're gonna go, I don't want to ride in Europe anymore.
Okay.
We'll go
Back to
back
Sweden, so-
back to Sweden and I can win there and win everything. But I think being brought up from such a young age, when you look at the Dutch, when you go to Lommel, you got these like 8-year-olds, you know, 9-year-olds who are so fast, you know, and they actually live for the sport and they're loving it and they're in amongst it all the time and they got 40 kids on the line and that's
Pushing themselves and
pushing themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they're not being pushed. They're
Yeah,
loving
but
it.
just because you have someone else who's faster, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's somebody faster, what's your goal going to be? You want to beat them.
You're just as fast as you need to be.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
When you were in Holland, Freddie, you were riding against a girl, right? Who's from Holland.
Yeah.
She's a few years older than you. You know what I'm talking about?
13.
Mm.
What's her name?
Lotte van Drunen.
Mm.
yeah, she's awesome. Great rider.
She is.
Yeah. But she, the rumours are, you know, that the Dutch get quite a lot of support from the government.
It's like a factory team.
Yeah.
For
The kids get a hell of a lot of support from the government, and there's a lot of, you know, people involved in motocross. Whereas here it seems like very much like you're in this, you have to deal with it yourself, kind of thing. Whereas even in Denmark they have like a
youth camps
for the kids. So you got the 65 riders. You got the best. Stamper said to me, you got the best 5 or 6 Danish 65s and the 85s, and they're all trained together as a Danish team.
Yeah.
So their mentalities come. They start
create
to feel
a certain how to say gemenskap in Swedish.
Like togetherness.
And it's almost going to make the kids feel important, that there's something and they want to be something.
That's exactly what Blue Crew is doing.
That's what, thanks to Yamaha, you know, the Blue Crew is trying to do that with the kids, but sadly enough, we went to the big event at Assen. You know, Yamaha, you get invited, so all the best riders from each country get invited to go to Assen. And yet again, Svimo stopped the Swedish kids. They couldn't go. And these kids, I've seen these kids, you know, we were at Uddevalla where Svimo and the FIM had a meeting. And I went up to the parents of these kids and I said, how did the meeting go? Are you allowed to go to Assen? No, the kids can't go. And you've seen the kids walking around like this. Because what a cool thing Yamaha are trying to do for the kids, to get them to feel good around the sport, you know.
What is Blue Crew?
Just
it's almost like a Yamaha group almost.
So what do you do? Like what kind of riders and?
Yeah, you have to sign up for the thing, like the Blue Crew. And then you can like get into the races. There's one Yamaha race at the end of the year that you don't know. It might be at Britain this year, Matterley Basin
or Lommel.
Yeah.
And
no one knows really.
No one knows really what's going on,
do they?
But the idea with Yamaha is they're trying to, they call it
building up
the tree.
Yeah.
So they're trying to.
It's something that KTM have done very well.
Yeah, and they're trying to pluck all the youth, the kids who love the sport. They're trying to get hold of these kids.
The Blue family.
And and they're just trying to do something good for the kids.
We talked about England now. You raced in England before, right?
Yeah.
Like arena cross.
Yeah.
We don't have that in Sweden, so you have to explain for me what's arena cross.
It's indoor races.
For the big bikes or the small ones?
Every bike, or it's mostly for the big bikes, because on a 65 you can't jump anything because it's just too big. But isn't it Sweden that invented it?
I think Sweden actually did invent Supercross, so-called, and 4 motocross kit is Swedish originally, and they went off to the States. There's some story about that.
How is Supercross compared to motocross?
Well, it's more intense.
Cross compared to the other
it's a lot more intense, isn't it?
And there's just like turns, jumps.
What would you prefer?
Motocross.
Why?
Because you can have like sand, hard pack, and it's more flowing.
Yeah.
It's more fun, I think. But I don't know when I'm older, I might think Supercross more fun. But on a 65 and 85, motocross is a lot more fun.
But what did we do then? 2019, you were competing for the arena cross.
Yeah.
We lived in Sweden, so you had to fly over for every.
Did you have a bike ready waiting for you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Chambo,
Awesome.
Mark Chamberlain. He's a manager of Team GB, the big MX1, MX2. I got a message off him, and obviously the Yamaha was quite new, and he said, right, do you want to come to England and do the arena cross? And okay, if you can help us with a bike, we'll have to fly over. and we'll have to try and sort some hotels and stuff out. So we flew to Ireland, straight to Ireland, Belfast, you know, and the bike. Luckily, our friends, the Moore family, they took the bike. They picked the bike up for us and took it to Ireland because they were from England. And we run the bike in the car park, didn't we? And then Freddie went out, and it was totally new. And Freddie went out.
How are you running a bike?
We'll just start it up, and you know, normally you have to ride them for a few hours to break the suspension in.
Okay.
But none of that. We just warmed it up in the car park, and then right, go on, Freddie, go and race. We're putting all the stickers on a couple of minutes before.
Yeah, like the kit turned up like 10 minutes before the race.
Yeah.
It's creating memories.
Yeah,
But this is
Memories,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. And we literally, we had to fly. When we went to Ireland, we flew to Gatwick, and then we had to get a connection flight from Gatwick to Belfast, and it's like get a taxi from Belfast in airport into town, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it wasn't Belfast.
No, it wasn't.
Like, it was like half an hour away from Belfast.
So then we, it's really, what memories when you say it like that.
Det är klart som var med Bell,
Come on. Yeah, so then we got there, and it's like, we did the races. We did race on the Saturday and the Sunday. Then we went for a look around. We had to wait for our flight was a bit late, Freddie, wasn't it? So we went for a look around the Titanic Museum. So we learned a bit of history, and then obviously made some notes, and then took it to school. We went to the Titanic Museum, didn't we?
Yeah. And I got a wrist, like every arena cross race, like there was some wristband or something that we got.
Yeah.
Or like just bought or something.
Yeah,
you
the memories.
collect them, don't you? You collect
I've
the rubber ones.
I've still got them.
Where was the next one? Birmingham, wasn't it? So then, we.
How many races did you do in?
Well, it was 6 in total.
But
Where they classed the Saturday and the Sunday free. Yeah.
Birmingham and Sheffield.
So you fly over like 3 times?
Yeah. Oh my God! Every 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we got home and then obviously back to work and and we had nowhere to train for the arena cross.
No, it was just.
That was a problem.
Just show up and ride.
I think in between one we went to Herning.
Oh yeah, we did. We went to Denmark, didn't we?
Yeah,
7-hour drive just to train because there's nowhere really to train in Sweden. So
Yeah,
And
they even closed down the arena in Turbo.
yeah,
Yeah, we didn't want to go there.
because it's too hard.
Yeah, it's just too sketchy.
It's a bit hard.
Yeah, it's like concrete. They call it low maintenance,
Yeah.
but break your wrist.
Yeah.
If what we got to do is fall off in a corner
Like
and
all of my friends have broke
their wrist,
something.
arm.
there.
But it's good that it's there because loads of
yeah,
to
of course.
train on it.
But when you're fast,
Fast, and if you go down,
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt.
I had. You remember before the finish line,
Mm.
you had a very small jump,
Yeah.
and then you can land on the next
Yeah.
one. Right?
Yeah.
So I had my son. He was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
He got on a small jump. He wasn't going fast enough, so he just landed on the front wheel in the big ones.
Boom. Yeah.
I
Oh.
thought he broke his neck, but he did well.
Yeah.
You did well, yeah.
I got some quick questions here for you.
Yeah.
Mm.
If I say julbord, the Swedish version for Christmas, what you're eating, or the
Yeah.
English one, what do you choose for it?
English.
Anna?
Oh,
Come on.
What do you eat in
You know it makes
I have
sense.
to say Swedish because we have smoked salmon on ours.
Oh, yeah.
So I like that.
I don't
Me?
like
English, of course. A roast dinner. You can't beat a roast dinner.
It's nice.
No, you can't beat a roast
I
dinner.
don't like salmon.
I'm torn.
Come on, Anna. I thought you were more English than that.
I'm torn.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I don't know.
Rock and roll or pop?
Pop.
Anna?
Actually.
I listen to more like chill out music, Lana Del Rey and meditation
First Aid Kit?
music. Yeah,
Pop.
a little bit like that. Yeah. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, a bit of a mix, really.
You are.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of
Drum
rock
and
and
bass.
then again I like a bit of
Whatever's
drum and
English,
bass. Yeah. Whatever zone you're trying to get in. You know, if you're in the camera, you put a bit of rock music on or a bit of drum and bass sometimes.
We
you know?
listen, well, when we travel to competitions, we
Dance
listen to a lot of
music?
house music.
House music.
We
yeah.
love house music. Actually, when we're going to the races and before the races, we listen to house and trance. Which
Yeah,
is
I like to mix it up a bit.
I see myself as a rock and roll guy, but if you see my playlist, it's like Celine Dion, it's some R&B, it's Bob Marley, it's very big.
We're quite big into like Skunk
We
and
listen
Nazi
to,
is quite good.
A lot of reggae as well.
Yeah.
I
Chili
like
Peppers,
reggae.
you know, Chili Peppers. You got one.
I like
Reggae's good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything really.
What kind of tattoos do you have?
Polynesian and tribal. And that's my dad who passed away, sadly. I put his name there, Fred.
Yeah.
And that was the number I was racing when he passed away, 271.
Right.
But I didn't want people to really know what it said.
Yeah,
just so I knew, yeah.
I've never seen
No,
it.
exactly. Now you know.
Are you the only one in the family having tattoos?
My dad had tattoos. He had a very similar one to me, but all across his thumb and that, yeah. We more or less had them done at the same time.
Belle's got tattoos.
Självklart, vad snyggt. It's nice.
But me and Dad, we used to work together every day, and you know, obviously, again through motocross, we were very close.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're creating a very close family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're not having any tattoos.
No, I don't want any.
Only Daddy has tattoos.
If it wasn't for motocross, I'd be really covered.
Yeah, it's
I haven't got the money.
It's the best way to stay away from drugs, right? Riding
Yeah,
bikes.
exactly.
Yeah. No spa trips here.
Nothing. Everything is minimalistic.
You heard of something called, I don't know what it is in Sweden, I think, but if I say Marmite.
The best. The backbone.
If I say the Swedish version would be caviar.
Yeah, probably.
What would you choose, Freddie?
Marmite.
You do?
I
don't like caviar.
I love Marmite, but I don't like caviar.
Yeah.
I don't want to try it either. Or
I've
tried it,
that's really nasty, actually, the caviar.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Because Marmite's very special also, right?
And
special,
food in a tube, you know, it sounds a bit risky.
And Anna, what do you choose?
No, none. I can't.
Yeah, but you eat twiglets.
How do you eat Marmite?
Twiggies.
Toast, butter, and then
Toast,
on toast. Or you can have a thing called crumpets in England.
What's crumpets?
Crumpets. What is it really, Anna? What is crumpets?
It's like a really thick
pancake.
plätta, eller som typ som en tomteplätt fast ännu tjockare med hål i. Och stoppa ner den i.
And then all the Marmite and butter melts.
Put it down in the toaster.
My mom was, I think, au pair in England.
Yeah.
And she bought this Marmite, the round, with the
big
yellow,
one. Yeah.
On roasted.
Love
I don't know, very special.
You love
Marmite. It's a special taste.
Yeah.
Like the advert says, you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest sacrifice? Having a kid who's riding, or yourself riding? What's the biggest sacrifice?
Having a kid who's riding.
What do you sacrifice?
What do you think?
Everything. Pretty much.
But still living the life.
Yeah. It's very difficult at times. Hard work. You know, and people who are involved in the sport will never understand, really. Because, you know, even when I get to work, you know, when we've been doing an EMX or something in Stuttgart, south of Germany, I get home and they're like, oh, you look a bit tired. Yeah, I had 3 hours sleep, you know. I had to come, get the ferries all the way back up through, and then I have to come to work to pay for this sport. And then, obviously, it's just, you sacrifice a lot. It costs a lot of money. And
I think the biggest sacrifice for us as a family has been moving away from
Cornwall.
So I was going to say.
Yeah, you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Is it home for you, Freddie? Cornwall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's home. That's where Belle was born, and that's where we met, and we have all our family there and all our friends, really good friends. It's just a beach lifestyle. It's very much us, but then we have this other side as well, which is motorsport. So it's kind of contradict each other. But at the moment we've chosen to focus on this. Yeah. But one day, when Freddie can manage himself, or when he whatever happens, maybe one day when we're a bit older, we can go back. You never know if Brexit allows it.
Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
No.
No. He's
No.
like a scientist from Canada,
Ah.
and he said, among other things, that life is most of the time a rat snake of music.
Yeah.
It's one of the challenges that you have in life, you know.
Yeah.
No, we sacrifice a lot to motocross. Well, we were
Yeah.
first off. We moved
But
from
we have
Cornwall
fun
to
as
Somerset.
well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way you must look at it.
I mean, we do get to travel a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, many people.
It is creating, all the struggle does create memories and the
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
You know?
The amount of people we have met.
How many kids can teach me some stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
And you think of him, you know, he can still remember France. He was just 7, you know, and you can still remember that, Freddie. That's crazy.
Yeah, Freddie, you was in France last year. Or
Uh,
this year. No,
France,
last year. No, Spain.
Spain,
Spain.
Barcelona. Oh, yeah.
You know how I know it?
Come back.
I saw on Facebook a post from your mother. The car was broken.
Oh.
On the back of a lorry.
Yeah, in France.
Yeah.
And French people and their English is not very
Not the
compatible.
best.
But actually, I know why. Because they're not. I mean, even the TV in France is like Brad Pitt is speaking French.
Yeah.
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 You're listening to French music is pretty actually good,
Yeah.
really good. But they don't have the how do you say förutsättningar in Swedish. I don't know the English word.
They don't have the what's it called? Like the abilities to sort of
No.
to learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but it's
even
like
the
a-
English teacher is not that good. And
No.
they're a little bit insecure.
Yeah. Well, it's
But
like us in Britain.
you-
We have
you
no
will-
other TV.
You
It's
will
just
see
English.
that after like a bottle of wine at a party, they do
Mm.
speak English. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But-
same as us Brits. If somebody talks French, nobody will be able to understand them. Isn't it? It really is.
the universal language French, right?
Yeah.
So how was it in Spain, Freddie? What
that
happened on the
was
way down and how was the train?
That
We
was,
just stopped at the KFC or whatever it was.
yeah, on the top of the Alps, wasn't it?
Yeah, on the Alps, and then we went for maybe half an hour,
Yeah.
and then
The front wheel started to lock up
yeah.
on the camper, you know. You
And
could hear
then-
I was like, oh no, the wheel bearings collapsed, wasn't it?
And then we stopped in a lay-by, and then we looked at it, and then
Yeah,
we
it's a-
knew that we weren't getting down there.
Mm.
So I took the front wheel off in the services just to make sure it wasn't like a brake pad tying on or something. So it's freezing cold. It was -2 or something, and I'm there taking the wheel off, you know, trying to, just panicking because we had our friends with us as well. And they're like, we're not going to get there, we're not going to get to Barcelona. And I'm looking at the sat nav, okay, we're 8 hours
We're
away.
late.
8 hours away. Yeah,
Won't make it.
this is going to be tight. So, anyway, we got onto obviously the recovery people, and they picked up the camper and they dropped us in this village in the middle of nowhere. Didn't have a clue, outside this garage. Then we get up in the morning and we try and talk to the people in the garage. No, we have no clue what you are doing here. Yeah, but we were dropped off here last night. Can you please help us? Can we hire a van to go to Spain? You know? Couldn't understand a word I was saying. So I'm like, right, okay. We tried to put these. I'm ringing Anna, like panicking because we had to be in Barcelona between 1 and 3. We were meant to meet at Catalunya, you know, the road racing track. So I'm like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Right, panicking. And I keep looking at the time because obviously I'm thinking it's 6 to 7 hours down there, whatever. You know, I need to go now. And I'm walking around this village,
And our
couldn't
phones
find
were
anything,
dead.
and the
That
phones
was like
kept
4 hours
dying
ago.
because my phone's so old, you know. I was going out in -3 and the battery would last 5 seconds. It kept dying, you know. I'm not trying to ring Anna. Oh my god, we couldn't find anywhere, could we?
Panic. And then you stepped
Panic.
in.
And then you
Luckily.
kind of stepped
Yeah,
in.
just called the auto shop.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean,
And then but then it was like we were going past this Hertz garage, and I kept looking at this van in there, thinking that could be it, you know. And we went in there. She didn't understand. So I'm like, okay, we went for another walk trying to find these other places to hire a van, and we couldn't find anywhere. Last case, I walked in again and I said, come on, is this our van, you know? And it turned out it was.
Yeah, but it just turned up, and then it turned up like the second we walked past.
Yeah. But then the other thing was, then Per Mortensen, he had spoken to the people in Sweden because obviously it's easier for him to talk Swedish to
and then
the insurance company. So the van was in his name. Then I have my English driving license, I think it was, and then we had Anna's credit card.
Could you still get it out?
And the woman just looked at me like,
That's
Per
not right.
Mortensen.
I got 3 nights here.
What's going on?
She said, like, Mortensen.
Yeah.
So didn't quite get it.
So we literally sat there for like an hour and a half, thinking, yeah, this is never going to happen. But it did happen, didn't it? And we drove out. And I had to go back to the camper, and then we loaded all the stuff in, and Stampa, who was with us, so loaded all his stuff in the van, cruised on down, and we were driving by the side of the Mediterranean, just on the France-Spain border. Then we see the pictures start going up, you know, of Catalonia, and all the kids are having all the blue crew are having their pictures taken, and Freddie's broke down, you know, because he obviously wanted to be there.
So you ended up a day late?
No, it wasn't a day. It was 3-4 hours, only just.
That's it?
Yeah. So we got down to the hotel. It wasn't in Belpuy. It was in another village, wasn't it?
What was it? Leleda?
Yeah, something like that. So we got down there,
It was like...
and the whole of Yamaha, because it was a road racing side and the obviously motocross side. We've walked in there and they're all sat down eating, and they come up to us and they just... You could tell they were all looking at us as if to say, "You look knackered." And I said, "Yeah, me and Freddie have had 3 hours sleep, you know." And you could tell Jackie Vimon was there, you know, and he was the coach for Yamaha, kind of, you know, at the time. And he more or less, you could tell he was looking at Freddie as if to say, "You're not going to do anything tomorrow, you know. You're going to be knackered." So he managed to. We ate at 9 o'clock at night or something. 8 when he got our head down. And then we headed off to the track in the morning.
So you had to bring your bikes?
Yeah.
And you ended up over there?
Yeah.
And that was like a trial for taking the next step in the Blue Crew family? Or?
Yeah. So that was a master class. So 3 riders were selected from each group, wasn't it? 3 or 4?
5.
Was it 5 in the end?
Yeah, but...
Okay.
We
it was 3 selected and then there were some wild cards.
How did it go for it?
Yeah, I went out there. And then, the second lap I jumped all the jumps almost.
And they were massive.
All the jumps that I jumped for all weekend, or like all weekend.
Yeah. And you won the masterclass.
It wasn't really a race, but I had the fastest lap times. Like every time they took lap times, I was the fastest.
Yeah.
Did you get selected to the next round? Or?
No, it was that. Then they had to choose in between us who was going to be the Yamaha Europe rider.
They chose only 165? Or?
Only one. 165, 185.
And who did they choose?
Me.
Yeah.
So now he,
It was, it's good, wasn't it?
Oh, what? It was really cool. Really, really cool down there. And then we had the long haul back, you know. Then we left 6 in the morning and drove, was it 16 hours non-stop? And then we went to Lommel training on the way home, didn't we?
Yeah. And there, it was literally just
so wet.
Yeah, it was like wet. They almost shut it.
Yeah.
I think, didn't they?
So we gone from beautiful Spain, you know.
Yeah, but in Spain
it was really cold.
Minus.
Yeah, it was minus in the morning. We actually had frost in the morning, didn't we?
And then we turned up to the track, and they had like watered it and everything.
And it froze.
And it froze. So it was like the puddles were ice.
Yeah.
And I thought it was only Sweden you got that.
He was well trained for that though, you know, riding on ice.
I packed shorts.
Yeah. They stayed in the suitcase.
She bought like 3 pairs of shorts. And then
Thanks, Mom. You got my back.
Yeah.
And then when we got home, she was like, "Why haven't you used your shorts?"
Minus in the morning.
Because it was minus.
Like, okay, sorry.
How is it to be a mom and watching your kids riding like he does?
In the beginning, it was quite scary when he was not so much under 50. Obviously, the race in France when he was little, the master kids ones, that was horror. You know, that track was massive. His races in England, not too bad. but the starts are always a bit horrible to watch, I think. Now I'm not kind of getting used to it, you know.
Yeah, but
I
now you've started getting scared again.
Yeah, I'm starting
What
to get
makes you nervous or scared?
He's on the big 85 now, so you know he's heavy and he's doing all these like whips and everything, and I don't know. It's just I know he's in control, but it's
Still.
just yeah.
It's your kid.
Yeah.
So Freddie, you have to tell me, why do you make whips? Do you say so? Make whips or just why do you whips?
Do a whip.
Yeah, why do you do a whip? What is a whip?
Well, it's when you turn the bike like to the side and
When you're jumping.
yeah, and yeah, do it.
So beside looking cool, what difference does it make?
So you can get lower, like when you jump like straight, you just fly up and then down.
Yeah.
But when you whip, you get like lower.
Okay. Do you game time like this or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you can actually see
And
the
it,
clock.
and it looks cool.
Yeah.
And
I think
I
that's
see the
the
bits.
and it's fun.
Yeah. How do you do that?
I don't know. I just do it.
I don't know how he does it.
You're
I really
quite good
don't.
at it now.
When did you start doing that? For the first time, you actually start practicing.
Well,
So I done
I
it.
could say, go on then, you say.
I don't know. It was the first time I done like big whips like that. That was at Borås.
On the 85.
And that video got like there's like loads of people like
Views on it. On the,
motocross like Instagram pages that had shared it and they got like 500,000 likes or something. I don't know.
It was the Yamaha page?
Yeah.
The picture, or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yamaha official. That was at Husqvarna, that
Yeah.
when we scrubbed
But at Borås, that was
the
like
first one on the
that.
bottom table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like I don't know, MXGP Supercross.
Yeah.
That's an Instagram account. They got I don't know loads of followers, and then there was another account. They had really many followers, and then they just
Do you have your own photograph?
no.
Oh.
Same.
Me.
And me sometimes. I'm not so good at motocross photography though.
I
Normally
must
it's
admit,
Portraits
we got
Yeah.
a guy down in Skåne.
Stone.
Yeah, he's really good. He took the shots from the weekend. I don't know if you've seen him on. Yeah. So it'd be really cool to have him on board, you know, because he got some really, really good shots, didn't he? Whereas me, normally with my phone, you know. So yeah, that's quite cool.
But your phone's old as well.
Yeah, exactly.
If I say Brian Jorgensen, Freddie, who is he for you?
Well, he's like I don't know, my idol, and
Right.
he my trainer, or like trains me. Yeah.
And Seb? Who's Brian?
Brian, I can say he's my idol as well. You know, when I was obviously quite good in the UK, but I kind of always looked up to Brian Jorgensen and always known him as being Danish and a foreigner coming to England and riding really well and riding for big teams. And it almost, what can you say? It seems a bit surreal to have somebody who I've looked up to my whole career now wanting to work with my son after all the effort we've put in, you know, and all of a sudden you're at this level where
Someone sees you?
yeah, and almost now I have to kind of, well, not take a step back, but Freddie must go on and he must learn off of somebody else who can take him that next step, you know.
What can Brian teach you that Seb can't?
Quite a lot of things.
Yeah.
It is?
'Cause,
Yeah.
Or is it just because it's
Just
someone else?
These small things, and it's always
Okay.
good to come from somebody else,
Yeah.
you know, right? Because you've always got that
Dad's
father,
son,
son, what do you know, Dad? You know, yeah, I've seen the pictures of you hanging off in whiskey throttle, you know, and you didn't have the best style, but yeah, Brian is such a perfectionist, and
Yes.
he can just teach him these small things, you know, which make a big difference.
What does he see
probably-
in Freddie?
What does he see?
Yeah.
I think he sees something special. I don't know. From what I've heard of the videos and stuff, and
He mentioned you
Yeah.
on the video.
Yeah.
You mentioned Freddie on the video.
yeah, and it was quite, it almost knocked me back a little bit, you know.
You remember what he said?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they were talking about, because the guy who was interviewing him, I used to race with him, so he was obviously asking Brian, who do you think is the next best thing? Yeah, kind of, who's the next world champion to come through? Do you know of any kids who are any good? And obviously Freddie's name come up, and you could have knocked me over with a feather, you know? I was like, okay. Yeah, this is just not real. Yeah, it does. It really does, because, you know, we've come from sleeping in an old van, you know, and people sort of saying, what are you doing? There's no point in doing this. And all of a sudden you're at this level now where things are starting to happen at a very young age, you know, and it's, it's quite shocking sometimes. But Brian, I'm really glad we got Brian on board, because we kind of get on really well. And from what I have seen of Brian telling Freddie picks up on it straight away. And very often when now we're practicing together, obviously we do a lot of it on our own because there's no kids here to ride with. Freddie would come in and say, yeah, I've been trying this, what Brian's told me, and opening my corners up, and, you know, his feet, a lot to do with his feet and keeping his weight back, and, you know, so, and you know that it's in Freddie's faults all the time when he's riding, and a lot of people even said to me with his riding, you know, he's changed, and you can tell. And then sometimes I'll be on the side of the track and I'll say, right, get your weight back, and you'll see Freddie do it automatically, or open your corners up or stand there like this, and try and keep reminding him. So what Brian's taught him, I obviously try and learn off of Brian, and I can keep reminding him, so hopefully it come natural.
So now you have to teach me a few stuff now, Freddie.
And me.
Yeah. Why? I see when you come into corners, you're standing up like almost all the way through before you sit down. So I always thought that you were sitting down just before the entry. So why do you do as you do? Why are you standing up so long?
Because when you sit down, there could be bumps, and that make you lose your balance.
But isn't it more difficult to standing up almost all the way through? Because you're like standing up through the corner, and just before you hit the gas, you're sitting down, right?
Yeah.
Does it make it more difficult?
It's probably more difficult if you can't do it.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. And one more thing, I've seen you when you're on the foot pegs. You're having the front part of the foot on the pegs.
Yeah.
So why the front of the foot instead of the middle?
Because then you can like lean back more and get more traction. Yeah, so you don't just, because when you're stood like that, you're like so.
You have an extra joint.
Yeah.
For more movement.
Yeah, more leverage.
Yeah.
Like an extra suspension.
Almost.
In your body.
Yeah. Which is another thing which we never actually told Freddie to do it. And I remember watching him when he was on an auto.
Yeah.
That he always stood on on the balls of his feet here, which kids never normally do. You watch them, their natural instinct is right there. So when he was on an auto, I thought, this is cool, you know. But when he goes on a 65 and then you got to shift your feet more to change gear and stuff, I thought maybe he's going to move more to the middle of his feet, you know. But he didn't.
He didn't.
He still stayed on the ball of his feet, which is, and now he's like extreme. When you see some of the videos, isn't it? You know, like you see his foot totally. Yeah. And a weird thing is, he's wrecking boots. The front of the boots here, because his foot is so up like this, the front of the boot is digging in the front of his leg.
Does it mean that you're too weak in your... which muscle is that?
No.
It's mostly that it really hurts when it digs into your leg.
But it's such a good thing because you've got an extra joint, you know, because you're, rather than your foot being fixed there, if you land on your foot like this,
it would be a
lot of shock. You've got an extra joint, you've got your ankle and your knee and the suspension on the bike.
Yeah,
and your hips.
Yeah, when I like my I went to break boots.
Yeah.
Like we got them a couple months or 4 months ago maybe.
Yeah.
And they're all ready.
Do you get any injuries? Have you broken any bones or?
Or I broke my wrist.
Playing
2
football,
times.
yeah, but playing football.
Yeah. So once motocross, I broke like here or whatever. I don't.
Yeah, but they've only been, luckily they've been very small hairline fractures.
What kind of sports do you like besides motocross
I like.
during your free time? You know.
Normally, I like mountain bike, BMX. I don't know. Something to do with wheels.
Something to do with wheels.
Yeah.
You are good at football.
Yeah, he is really good at
I'm
football.
good at football, but I don't play. I just play it at school.
Yeah.
And then I've got like football players in my school. Sometimes I can, like, stay with them or whatever you meant to say.
And they're pretty good.
I like to
Yeah.
play with them. Yeah.
I saw a video with Sébastien Loeb. He was a French rally driver.
A rally driver, yeah.
I think
Oh,
7-time world
Yeah,
champion.
yeah, I know.
It's like he was a gymnast before.
Yeah.
And he made the choice to compete
Yeah.
in the rally. And I think that it's like for most of the kids or talents
Mm.
that they're gonna end up being something good.
Yeah.
It can be coincidence or whatever, or a choice or an interest. But I think that if you have it in pretty much whatever you choose to do.
Yeah.
And that leads you to the question that is there a talent? Or is it just hard work and interest?
Mm.
What do you think,
Brian's
guys and lady?
What's that?
I
Brian
think
says
it's
you've got
both,
talent.
Really. I think Freddie's got a lot of talent because
Yeah.
he's got natural talent for it.
But
Does he-
everyone is born equally, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know? You got the same
I
base.
suppose. Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
You have some difference.
But
in
Freddie's
genes and so on,
always
but-
Freddie's always been the same. Like, you know, even when he was younger, you put him on a trampoline and he was doing backflips, front flips. You know.
Freddie's a bit
And
of a perfectionist as well.
So-
So I think with everything that he does, like you said, he wants to excel and be the best at everything that he tries to do. When he started school, he can sit and write a letter for half an hour just because it doesn't look right. You know that, and he was like crying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he
because
did. Yeah.
It didn't work.
Is
So-
it what you call the grit?
Yeah, that's a grit. Yeah, he's got a lot of that. Definitely.
You know what it is, Fred? Grit.
A little bit, a little bit, yeah.
Great determination.
Yeah.
No, but he's always been the same. But pretty much everything. You know, when he was on his little balance bike going around when you were like 2, always like, come and build this jump, do this jump. Come and watch me. I can do this. Move it further. And it was always, he's always like pushing the boundaries. You know, always. And that was no fault of ours. It was always his own drive wanting to do that. So.
But
I think
like
it-
if
like
you
you said,
lose or if you get bad, a bad position or you don't beat yourself up.
No, he almost
Yeah.
goes quiet, you know.
You-
So
Is it something that you think a lot about when you're having a bad day or it doesn't go as you want? Do you think of how you can change something or?
I don't really think about it when I'm riding or like anything, but at the end of the day, I don't know.
I never forget Lommel, the first EMX we done. You know, obviously you're on a bit of a back foot because all the Dutch have been at Lommel training for 3 weeks before, and you know so we're always going to be on a back foot. And then he turned up and he thought he was going quite fast, and he come in and I said, "You were 19th." Awesome, you know, really well done. You know, first EMX against all the Dutch in the sand, you know, and it was just Dutch. Isaacson was there.
English/Swedish. Or
Yeah, there was a few, you know, Bowen and that, you know, the Brit, he was there, but he trained a lot.
They're
of
like-
Russian, but
they're-
really, right?
yeah,
they're like
but
very-
then I said, "Awesome, Freddie," but you could tell in his body language he wasn't really happy, but he didn't say anything. The next time he goes out, 13th. The next time he goes out, 11th or whatever, and then the last race, he gated like 15th, and I seen him going down the back straight, and you actually went past I don't know how many people, and he come towards the pits, and he was in 6th.
Didn't you fail in that race?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
again?
exactly.
Yeah.
So he cut, and the frustration when he went down, it just like he lost the front, you know, and you see him like, what happened there? She's like, he's got up, and the trouble is they're on such a fast pace, you know.
Yeah.
He's gone back to like 22nd or 23rd, and you know, you're on big time catch up then. So he's like, and he come back to like 13th or something.
Well,
So
that's-
what?
11th.
Or 11th, yeah. And we had that a couple of times in the EMX in the south of Germany as well, Stuttgart, wasn't it?
Got stuck
So
in
he gated really crap again, and then pulled up to 6th on the first lap, hit this jump, and you never see Freddie get out of control when he's got like whiskey throttle over this jump.
No.
Or whatever it was, you got a bit sideways, and all you seen was all the dads next to me, because believe it or not, the EMX is quite chilled out, you know. So all the dads like, shit, was that Freddie? I'm like, well, I think so. He's gone down in the ditch over there somewhere. So he couldn't get out. He couldn't get out of the ditch. So you were like half a lap down, weren't you? By the time you got back up,
I pulled up to 15th.
and he pulled up to 15th from dead last in EMX.
It reminds me of the determination. I saw,
Never give up though.
Yeah.
Last
who
was
it?
20 seconds ahead of me or something.
Yeah, Lance was 20 seconds ahead of him when he actually got out the ditch. And he managed to pull up. And then the second one, you gated top 5, and Isaacson, the fellow Swede, had a crash and took you down, didn't he?
Yeah.
And his bike was on top of Freddie and actually burnt all his top, you know.
No, it was
and
my bike.
it was your bike
Yeah.
on top of you, okay. And then Isaacson, he actually put his bike down and picked the bike up off of Freddie because he knew it was burning him.
Yeah, he was
So he
like,
got-
I saw it a lot of
yeah.
times actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Keeps helping each other.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
during the race.
So
And,
fair play to the FIM,
Yeah.
you know, they actually recognise that and give Isaacson a reward
They did.
yeah.
for good.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really good. So this is a funny thing at the EMX level. Okay, you're at the highest level
Yeah.
in motocross for these kids, but it's the most. It's quite chilled, you know. There's no stress. I think, and a lot of it is because you're at that level where you're good, and it doesn't really matter where you come. You are one of the best in Europe.
You're
you're at the top.
Right? Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what result you get, you know. Obviously, if you get a really good result, it's a bonus. But at the end of the day, it's such a good setup, you know. And that's why it annoys me with the Swedish side of it sometimes. Almost too serious. All these rules. Can't do this, can't do that, you know. And it's quite frustrating. You almost feel more relaxed when you're doing the EMX, you know.
What is it about two-stroke?
Two-stroke
I
is
got
the
the feeling
best.
that it's the holy grail for you. in
Two-stroke's
motocross.
the best.
Yeah. Why?
It's produced the best riders, and it makes the best noise as well, and the best smells.
Thunder compares to the screaming.
Yeah, and I think it's because I was brought up with two-stroke, you know, and yeah, two-strokes rule. They are the best, and they're more fun, and you have to ride them properly, you know. It was an awesome era, you know, the 80s and the 90s with the two-stroke, and I think it's because I was brought up with two-stroke. It's so cool that he can ride a two-stroke properly and make it sound good. So
have you ever ridden a four-stroke?
Yeah.
450.
Which one?
450. I rode like 250s and 450s.
But when you're stepping up, the next class will be the
125. Yeah.
And then you're more or less
250.
Yeah, but to four-stroke after that, right?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you have
I
to go to four-stroke?
Because MX2 is
The big classes are 4-stroke.
Yeah. But that'd be cool. Sometimes you actually do say to me, I can't wait to get on a 4-stroke because there's a hell of a lot of power. So,
when I rode a
And it's
450,
usable power, isn't it?
when I rode a 450 at the track, like up there.
So you're like 11 and riding a 450?
Yeah, like a friend who asked us, just like, do you want to try my 450? And he's got like Honda, like Provic, Öhlins and all
suspension,
that. And then I went out and I was doing like every jump anyway.
On the big bike?
Yeah.
I did not agree. I did not like that.
Then I get home and I say to Anna and she's like, why?
Yeah, they are heavy, you know. What if something would have happened?
But at the end of the day, you know, when you've got that throttle control and that
He
confidence
knows
for
how
the
to
bike.
ride.
Yeah. So, you know,
I bet he rides way faster than I do.
yeah, probably faster than me. Like I said now, he's always like, yeah, Dad, when we get on the 125s, you can start riding again. I'm like, okay.
Sure. So Freddie, training or race? What do you prefer?
Race.
Why?
Because then there's like serious and like it's like training. You just like play around and have fun,
Yeah.
but racing you actually you want to win or like wanna. Yeah, so race and like when you're racing against people, it's more fun because then you like go past people and then you're like, yes, I just went past someone, now I'm whatever 10th or whatever it is, and then that's why it's more fun.
How do you pass them?
Right.
On the inside normally, on the brake or on brakes or?
Depends. I don't know. Most likely in the corners because we were on a stock bike, so on the straights it wasn't.
Do you go on the outside or inside in the corners?
Depends.
Yeah. If it's like normally on sand tracks, the outsides are just like unrideable because there's just bumps like this high in the berm. So normally it's like insides.
Do you prefer sand or?
Sand.
You do? Have you been riding at a track called Hökensås in Sweden?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
It's fun if it's not like dusty or like dry.
What kind of a track is it?
Deep sand and like it's deep and it gets like rutty in the faces and it's just like I love the material it's made from because it like bumps and ruts and like we rode there a lot in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just wet every time we were there.
So deep.
So and like one time
worst
there's
nightmare.
You got some washing to do when you get home then.
Yeah.
there's a video of me going for a rut and it's like from like 2 meters before the corner to 3 meters after the corner.
Oh yeah, up the face of that jump. Yeah.
And it was like this deep.
Yeah,
Like
crazy.
on the 85, and it like you could just get through it with the foot pegs not digging in.
Can you ride on the big track with the 65?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
Yeah.
I let my son try it on the 50. That was way too deep for him.
We tried. We trained there before Lommel actually, didn't
Yeah.
we? Before the EMX.
And then it was like powder.
Yeah, it was really dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you change tires before you ride on a track like that, or
Sand tires.
Sand tires, yeah.
a big difference? Do you feel the difference really?
Yeah, definitely. Because when you ride with a hard tire, I don't really do it that often. But when like we haven't got enough time to change a tire or anything, then it's it's not as much. It's like it doesn't go as fast as a paddle because paddle it like doesn't dig into the sand. It just goes across and so you get a lot more speed from it.
I remember we spoke about the first PV50.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty amazing how small kids from a very young age can feel a difference, or if it's something wrong with the bike.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the engine or whatever it is, but they can really feel it.
But Freddie has always been the best for that, you know, and typical dad, sometimes he come in and they say, oh, this is not quite right, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. And then they go, oh, okay, and then they come back in, I'm like, oh, shit, there was something wrong. And he's always pretty good, you know, and now we recently started working with RG3, the suspension guys.
Is it a Swedish company or?
Yes, yeah, well, it's American-Swedish, but this is the Scandinavian side, the Swedish side. Mats Nilsson, and he was down on a Brian Jorgensen training camp, and we'd had the suspension done, and what a difference. And he was actually pulling Freddie to one side and working with Freddie, and it was surprising how Freddie could just tell the difference between one click He was going one lap, and at one point he was coming out on the compression, or
2.
yeah, and he come out 2, and he come out 3. Freddie come back in, nope, put it back to where it was. And Mats was like, I can't believe that 11-year-old just come in and told me this isn't, yeah. And he could tell, literally with one click on the, even on the forks, couldn't you? And he's so, yeah. You've always been a bit like that. When he was on an auto, and I remember Matty Gardner, can you remember English Bickner?
Mm.
And Freddie always rides with his front brake a long way out, and you'd never think he could reach it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people unscrew it, so you pull it in so it's closer and you can reach it. But Matty Gardner's like, there's no way Freddie can reach that, but he has got really long fingers.
With 1 or 2 fingers.
Yeah, but he's got really long fingers. So anyway, Matty Gardner, he took a spanner down and adjusted it and moved it in, and then we didn't tell Freddie. He went down to the pit box, you know, and straight away Freddie looked at me and went, something's wrong. And I said, Freddie,
like
no, there's nothing wrong. He's like, no, somebody's moved my front brake. I always remember that. And I said, Matt.
Yeah. I'm trying to help you, kid.
So Matty Gardner, I said, Matt, I said, look. I said, yeah, it didn't work. I had to move it back out, you know, before the race. And he was, how old were we then? 7, I think it was. Or maybe.
Was it English Bickner?
English Bickner. Remember the long
perfectionist coming out there.
And he'll always come in and he'll say something's not right with the brakes, or he knows.
Feel it.
Yeah.
There is some ex-racers being called the professor. Like in Formula 1 you had Alain Prost.
Yeah.
I bet there is some in MX also.
Yeah.
Ah.
I can imagine.
They're known for it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you ride Freddie when things are not perfect?
Yeah, but not as well.
Oh, that's another funny thing. If you look at Freddie's bars now, they're quite a long way back. You look in the clamps.
That's right.
Yeah?
Mm.
And there's a really funny story to that. We were at Shins, and he always had his bars in line with the forks, you know?
Mm.
And
it's a standard way to have
yeah,
it.
just have them in line.
Yeah.
And he like done a few laps, and he came around. I thought, oh, he took a bit of a long time coming around, you know. And he actually hit a bank and crashed. You clipped the bank, didn't you, or something?
Yeah.
And his bars went back like this. So, but he just kept riding and riding and riding. He was getting faster and faster, and he looked really good on the bike. And so he come in, and I'm like, Freddie, your bars are miles back. What happened there? He said, yeah, it's really good now. Yeah. He said, don't move them. He said, I'm so glad I crashed, you know. He said, now I've learned, and yeah, the bike is set up totally different, and I really like it. He said, and leave it as it is. And ever since then, his bars are a long way back because he can get his weight back. So, yeah, cool. All these little things, mate, innit?
Anna?
Yeah.
What has been the biggest thing when you compare Swedish culture compared to the English one? Living in different countries.
So I've lived in England for a long time, and in Sweden. I grew up in Sweden, but the biggest difference, I think, is just the people and the social bit that I miss not being in England. Because you can connect with people in a different way, and you can find really close friends in a short amount of time, or you can just speak to people easier. Coming back to Sweden was a bit, well, obviously we've lived here before, but it was it's hard in Sweden. You need to give it a few years, you know, to make good friends, you know, or a lifetime, or
maybe a lifetime.
Know. Everyone is very much in their own little bubble.
They
maybe.
do their own
it's
thing.
hard to get in, you know.
You don't have that random talk and politeness.
No. It's very difficult for me, you know.
You meet people every now and then that you all of a sudden like really
When they
connect
click,
with.
yeah.
Especially around the motocross scene, you know, because where we hang out most, you know, and we don't have time to have people at home really, or, you know, so it's probably our fault as well, but it's different. School's different as well. School in England, I think, is better.
Yeah.
Parents are more involved in school. You have fairs, you have book days, you have cake bakes that you hand into school, and
In Sweden, the school is the place where children get, how do you say, uppfostrad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's maybe the other way.
The other way around. Yeah. I think in
What's
Sweden...
what's the English word for uppfostrad?
Raised. Yeah.
Raised.
I think in Sweden you drop your kids off at fritis in the morning, you go to work and you pick them up after 10 hours.
Yeah. It's
You
long
eat.
days for them.
Eat,
crazy.
watch some telly and then go to bed. And you have no idea what they've done during the day, or you haven't had a talk with a teacher, you haven't had a talk to the fritis personnel, or
You're
just
stuck
don't.
in that.
You just don't.
How do you say it? Ekorrhjul? Skorrhjul?
Yeah.
You feel like but you feel like
I'm
you're in
not a part of that at all.
no, you feel like you're in a
I'm not.
hamster cage
Yeah.
going around and round and
Exactly.
round. I can't hack
Yeah.
this, even me being a builder, you have to be at work at 6:45. If you said that to an English builder, they'd be like, "There's only 1:45, and that's in the evening."
Yeah.
Because you're a lot more chilled out. You can get up in the morning with your family. You can get them ready for school. And then it's very very chilled out in England. It's very in Sweden, and quite difficult.
Yeah, we're obviously you have to work, make money,
Yeah.
but with the amount of time that motocross takes for us, and the amount of planning and shopping and packing the camper and washing and everything. I mean, we've tried to have 2 full-time jobs, both of us.
Don't make it.
That didn't work.
I think that time is maybe more important than money.
Yeah.
If you still have money enough to
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
Because
the way you live.
yeah, last year in April I was pretty much close to a massive crash. So it just didn't work. It just didn't happen. And
It is pretty horrible, the way of life that you get
Yeah.
sucked into,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get that fancy house, the cars, everything, but
yeah,
all you do is work and pay for it. And
You go around in a hamster cage,
Yeah.
in the hamster wheel. That's what you feel like here. And like, in England, I could be the main earner,
Yeah.
but she could always have like a part-time job,
Well,
And that's the best way,
I have my
you know?
little
And I only
things on
work.
the side, like my photography, and I do that when I have time. I study. I work as a vicaria. I work with teachers. I study to become a therapist, or stress management and integration. So I have my plans are like in a few years,
Yeah.
and then Seb can take a little step back.
Oh, I hope so.
So he can focus on Freddie when he's a teenager, because he's going to need a lot of support then, if everything goes to plan. So that he can support Freddie wherever he is, or maybe go
That's nice.
down in hours a little bit. So I can step in and, be the main income. But we've always been like
helping
that.
each other.
Yeah, we've always been like that. When Seb's company didn't go well, I was working full time. When I had Bell, he was working full time, and we always
But
we
we've
make it
only-
work, but it's shit. It's so stressful.
And
Sometimes.
we've only just kept our head above water the whole time, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
3 more questions, Freddie. It's getting late. We talked about Lugnet's MC and a guy called Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about him and the company? What is Lugnet's MC? And who is Kent?
Lugnets is like a motorcycle and a bit of motocross shop
In Borås.
in
Yeah.
Borås, And Kent is the I
Owner?
think
He's the owner,
he's the owner.
and they work through Yamaha Scandinavia to supply us with the bikes.
Yeah.
So that's where we get the bikes from.
Mm.
And they also help us with a few other small bits and pieces, eh?
Do you see a difference when it comes to sponsorship in Sweden compared to how it was in England or the rest of Europe?
Yes.
Yeah. I would
We,
pretty much, I'd say that the Swedish mentality kind of is, you're in this sport, you're doing this sport, you deal with it.
You're on
Not
your own.
very many, you're on your own. People don't really want to help you,
Should
It
you?
doesn't matter no what, and maybe that's why there's not so many riders coming through as well, because I think a lot of the parents get really burnt out, you know, because there isn't the support there. I'm not really sure about the UK now, because obviously Freddie was so young, so people aren't really going to commit to you anyway, you know. So I don't know how it would have worked if we were back in the UK, whether we would have got more help, or I'm not sure. But the best thing we ever did was really bending over backwards and going to Europe, because if we weren't to have gone to Europe, we wouldn't have got any help, I don't think. So now, you know, the ball is rolling. And obviously going down there and Freddie getting some really good results, people have kind of stepped in, especially from Denmark.
Yeah.
You know, that was Morten when it was stepped in first.
Morten from
Yamaha Scandinavia.
He's helped us a lot.
Yeah, and then Brian was then pushed onto us, you know, to coach through Yamaha. And Brian has his contacts, and then all of a sudden things are happening. But it doesn't seem Sweden is very.
It's also difficult because we live in Sweden, but we don't race in Sweden.
We're not allowed to race in
Sweden.
Sweden.
Race in Denmark, but we're not Danish.
We're classed as British, I think. I don't know.
We're classed as British, so Swedish companies, obviously, it's weird for them to sponsor someone who doesn't, race in Sweden, perhaps. And the Danish people, Danish companies don't want to sponsor someone who's not, their nationality. So
we're like piggy in the middle.
We've always been stuck in the middle, and we've never had the right contacts.
What can you bring back to a company who helps you?
A lot of social media coverage, a lot of mentions. I mean, we're quite big on social media. We can bring. We treat our sponsors well, I think.
Yeah.
Does a kid have to do the results to bring something back to a company, like Yamaha or Cobra or something? Or
Yeah, I think it's good to get results, but also they must understand a champion isn't built overnight. You know, if you're going to support somebody, you should support them for who they are and what they're doing. And I don't think it should all be really based on results, because you never know what the future's going to bring you. When you look at Parado, he wasn't always there in the EMX 85s, you know. He was there about 20, Freddie. But remember, we watched him. But obviously people stood by him, and now he's at the top. So a champion isn't built over a couple of years, are they? You know? Yeah, when you look at Geiser and that, okay, they were in Europe, and we spoke to Seawer. When they looked at Freddie in Spain, they were like, oh my God, 10 years old, doing this on a 65, doing these jumps. There's no way we were doing this stuff when we were this age. But obviously they were built over time. And you build up, and you get the backing and the support, and you move on, and people stick
Step
with
by
you.
step.
Then you get there slowly. You're not just going to go bang and straight in there. You know, you must keep it real. You must have fun and try not to stress, which is very difficult sometimes. Especially financially, and when you're struggling, you know, it's going to cause
tough,
stress. Yeah.
But if we wouldn't have put our own money into flying and getting to the arena cross last year, we wouldn't have had the money through for the EMX, because we wouldn't have found our sponsor. He found us at the arena
you have to put
cross.
the effort first and then get something back.
So we had a guy who's been a bit undercover, Jim Pillin. You know, he's been watching Freddie for quite since he was on an auto, really young. And Jim, all of a sudden, after Freddie went to Belfast and won there, he was like, right, okay, now it's time for me to step in. What are your plans to do next year? I said, well, we're going to do EMX. Right, okay, I'm going to try and help you. So that was that. He got the ball rolling. He was talking to Ali at TG Recruitment, who was a recruitment company. Right, we're going to go and help this kid. And thank God that they did step in. And then they got us to Europe. And like I said, here we are now. If it wasn't for these people that wanted to help Freddie, we wouldn't have been there. No. And then you got the Swedish people kind of saying, oh, you know, take it easy, you shouldn't sponsor kids and da-da-da-da. Well, how are you going to create any champions? I don't think you cannot do this on your own. No way. And it would be such a shame to see a talent, not just saying Freddie, all these young talented kids, especially in Sweden. I see it. When I first come to Sweden, I was like, I've never seen so much talent in my life. When I went to Ripa, we were shocked, weren't we? How fast these kids are, you know, and they will probably just fizzle out and disappear because the parents haven't got the money. But you need to back these kids who've got a passion. That's the way I feel, and I'm not just saying it for Freddie's sake. I'm saying it for all the other kids out
One
there.
interesting thing when it comes to Svemo and the difference between child idrott and ungdomsidrott as well is that they're saying that barnidrott and ungdomsidrott, the reason why it doesn't start until you're 13, ungdomsidrott, is that they should always try different sports and have fun and all that, which is obviously
But you do
correct.
have kids that pretty early knows what
Yeah.
they
want to do.
So.
Yeah.
And they can have other interests as well. I mean,
Yeah,
So in England,
And
we
then-
were saying you can't tar them with the same brush because
Yeah.
every kid is different.
but they're saying that if you start too early, they get tired of the sport by 13, 14, 15. But I've heard so many people saying that are quite clever and have had kids in this, saying that it's not the kids that want to stop, it's the
it's the
it's the
parents.
families that
They're
don't
burnt
have
out.
they don't have the financial situation to continue because they haven't had the support early. That's like 80% of the cases. That's so they're wrong. It's if the kids want to continue doing it,
let them do it.
they'll do it, but it's most of the time it's the families that suffer. You know, the
And,
whole family.
And there's another.
If we wouldn't have had the help to get bikes from Yamaha Scandinavia, I don't think we could have continued
going.
for much longer.
No.
Definitely not have 2 bikes.
But another way of their thinking is that you've got when they're 16, you can start building on them and making them better then. But 16 years old, most MX2 world champions are 16.
And starting the 250.
Yeah. And they're already world champion, but they're thinking about starting to fuel them then, aren't they? 15 to 16 years old.
You also
So,
need to
yeah,
learn to
surely you're
separate
too
the
late.
sports, like Olympics and all that kind of, those kind of people. It might be the right age for them, perhaps, but you can't take each and every sport and treat them the same.
And they're saying you're going to burn the kids out, and they're going to be retired by the time they're 25, 26, 27.
Might be.
Yeah, but that's cool though, isn't it? Surely.
But
Look
normally,
at Villepota.
After that,
Yeah,
with kids or
Look
whatever
at
you want to.
Villepota. You've
Yeah.
done this sport at a young age. You've met all these people. You've gone to Europe. You've gone to the Worlds. You've made your money. Okay, I can pass my what I did in my career. I can pass that on to somebody else rather than totally disappearing off the face of the planet. And yeah, which I'm not being horrible. There's a lot of Swedish riders who've done that. They just retired and never put their input back into the sport.
but normally people do.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah,
Retire.
now they do. Yeah, you look at Villepota. They're really young and dungy, retiring. They've made their money, and now they're still working for these teams and helping.
And Villepota went to Yamaha, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
and
move.
Dungy went to
So, Freddie, 2 things. I'm going to need your signature next to the next Royal Air Force pilot, the Swedish one.
Mm.
He also won the World Endurance Championship. His name is Peter Lindén. He was my first guest. So I want every guest to sign
Cool.
this plate. And what's the next thing for you? Not today, but in the next. What's the next big challenge for you?
EMX 85.
Yeah, BMX 85. Get good results in that, but it's my first year on properly on an 85, and they're 14 and I'm 11, so we'll see.
You'll be alright.
Yeah, but it's all a learning curve.
Yeah.
There's no stress from us. Just turn up and whatever happens, happens. And just learn from it.
Delmål.
What's that in English?
Part goals.
Part goals. Yeah. Part goals towards the result goal.
Mm.
Yeah. We're going to concentrate on each
He's
competition instead
he's
of
very
just
young
the
to be on the
whole
85,
thing,
you know.
and then to see what happens. You look
But,
forward to
but what would one of your biggest goals want to be? Retired?
To be world champion.
Yeah, but
obviously.
on an 85, where would you like to go?
Lock it or wherever it's going to be.
I thought you want to go to Loretta Lynn's.
Or yeah, Loretta.
Can I ask you one more question?
Or World Championship.
World Championship. Yeah.
Obviously.
Can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite track in Sweden?
Lund or Vissefjärda.
Freddie, thank you very much. It's been very, very interesting. You
Thank
got
you.
an awesome family.
Thanks.
Vilken grej ni gör.
Ja, det här var alltså första avsnittet med Motorsportpodden. Jag är otroligt imponerad över familjen Bartletts resa. Vilken hängivenhet de har och över Freddie Bartletts talang. Det är helt otroligt. Det är en fröjd att följa hans resa här genom sin MX-karriär. Nästa avsnitt kommer vara med en svensk legend. En före detta stridspilot. En man som även har vunnit VM i endurance. Ingen mindre än Peter Lindén. Så att vi hörs i nästa avsnitt. Tack så länge.